Good morning, good morning. If you just tune in, we want to welcome you to FYI Radio Ministry, Power No 2.1 FM, the Bridge of Diversity. We welcome you with Mr. Hickman, and we are going to talk about successful parenting.
Good morning. My name is Kevin Hickman, and welcome to Successful Parenting. And this morning, I wanted to talk to our audience, for those of you who are tuning into our radio program, that successful parenting teaches parents how to successfully raise their children in a way where we have proven principles and tangible results that we have seen with parents and children in having parents raise their children. So it's been about several months or so since my last talk. So in my first two talks, I spent time talking about what bonding was and why bonding was so important for parents to understand in raising their children. And so it's important to know that parents who don't properly bond with their child will not be able to trust their parents as they grow older, and this is a problem. So without having this basic trust of parents, the child will not be able to emotionally connect or attach to their child if they have no trust with their parents. And the results here are long-term psychological and emotional effects that can happen to the child later in life. And I can attest to that because I lived through a lot of this, of not being properly bonded or attached by my parents. And my parents, it's not to blame them. They didn't understand what we know now here with neuroscience and psychology. So in my last talk, I talked to you parents about how to develop that special emotional connection with your child. And so we call this attachment, and I'm going to be just reviewing attachment real quick. So just a rule of thumb, bonding is to meeting all the child's physical needs, which equals trust, as attachment is to meeting all of your child's emotional needs, which equals a great relationship. And we want those two for you as parents to be able to raise your children in a way where they have a successful life. So when parents can tune into and listen to their child in whatever they're feeling in the moment, if the child is feeling anger or fear, sadness, or if they're worried about something, and when parents can really listen to without fixing and just being with the child in the moment, and when they're talking to their child in a very loving tone of voice like I am now, very compassionate, and they have a joyful or compassionate expression on their face, what the parents will do will begin to attach or develop that special emotional connection with the child. So why is this so important? Well, when parents aren't able to properly attach to their child, what's going to happen is the child will begin to shut down emotionally, and that's going to cause the child to emotionally suffer as they grow older into their adulthood years. So this morning, I want to talk more about attachment to our audience, and I want to talk more in depth about what happens when a child doesn't receive proper bonding or attachment with their parent. We have to understand that every child who does not get that proper bonding and attachment from their parents will experience pain. Now, who likes pain? I certainly don't like pain, and I don't think any of us like pain. And so I'm going to explain a certain type of pain that a child will feel when this process isn't done with them, and how it affects all of our lives to one degree or another. So the reason why I'm delving into this process and talking to you parents over the radio waves is to help parents understand how vitally important this process is, this God-given process of being able to properly bond and attach with your child. And, parenting isn't easy. God requires so much of parents. And so we here at Successful Parenting are committed to do everything we can in our power to be able to teach parents this vital process in setting up their children for success in life and lessening the suffering that they have to endure, that I had to endure and many of us had to endure growing up. And so understand this, that God has created us in such a way that the way that we bond and attach with other people is through emotional connection. Let me throw this question out. Did you know that brain research can now identify the part of the brain where we actually emotionally connect with other people in relationship? And the part of the brain that brain researchers have now pinpointed is called the attachment center. Well, the attachment center functions at its best. Actually, the attachment center is right here in probably the top of the brain right there in the middle. The attachment center operates at its best when parents and children are operating in emotions of joy. Now, did you know there's an interesting verse in the Bible that says that the joy of the Lord is our strength? Well, this is literally true because when parents are bonding and attaching with their children, they're actually strengthening that attachment center in the brain, and they're giving to their child what we call joy strength. Now, joy strength is so important because what joy strength does is it helps build joy into the child more and more each day, and the child can become their true, authentic self. Joy strength also helps build resilience in the child where they can endure hardships and difficulties in life. And how many of us can use that resilience in getting through some of those difficulties in life that we face every day? So remember, the definition of joy is that someone is glad to be with us in our emotions and feelings, no matter what we're feeling in the moment. And so parents, when you are with your child in the moment, no matter what they're feeling, they could be feeling very strong feelings of anger or sadness, they could be disappointed or be fearful. And whatever they're feeling, parents, when you're with them in the moment, you're building joy with them. And as a result, you're building joy in yourself too. And as you, as a parent, are creating joy with you and your child, you know what's going to happen is neurochemicals are going to be released into your brain, and you and your child are going to feel good and have that sense of well-being because you are creating joy with your child. And why is this so important? Well, joy gives us that feel and that strength to become successful in life. So what the most interesting thing is about this attachment center that brain research tells us is that it's actually located next to the part of the brain that registers pain. Now, why is this so important? Well, let me set the foundation for you. God has not only set us up for emotional connection and wired us for emotional connection, but he's wired us for intimacy. Into me you see. You see, as I'm expressing emotions of sadness or fear or anger or whatever it may be, I'm being known for who I am in the moment, and that's who I am. And when children are sharing what they are, sharing their feelings and emotions in the moment, that's who they are. And so parents, as you're listening to them and not trying to fix or tell them what to do, and you're listening to them, you are actually building their true authentic self. And isn't that a beautiful thing? And so God has created us not only for intimacy, but God has created this whole bonding and attachment process for children to first bond and attach to their parents and then to other people. Now, why did God set it up this way? God set it up this way for the child to first bond with, to build trust with the parents, and then to build that special emotional connection that I talked about earlier. But he did this so children can ultimately place their trust and their faith in God and then have that special connection with God through their parents. See, this whole bonding and attachment process has been given to parents so they could teach their children, and children can transfer that relationship to God through their parents. See, parents, you're representatives of God. And when you teach your children this process, you will teach them really how to place their trust in God when you teach them about God also. And how wonderful is that to have a secure foundation in God through this process that we're teaching your parents. So getting back to the earlier question, why did God put that attachment center next to the part of the brain that registers pain? Well, when parents are not emotionally available or they're not able to attach to their children emotionally for whatever the reason may be, the child is going to feel pain, and they're going to feel emotional pain. And because the reason is they're not in proper emotional connection with the parents. You see, this type of pain that behavioral scientists tell us that is so painful, it's called attachment pain. And attachment pain is one of the most painful, excruciating pains you can feel in your lifetime. And attachment pain happens when we lose connection with a loved one. It could be through a death of a sibling, a parent, grandparents, or it could be a losing a friendship, a close friendship, being betrayed or getting in a fight with a close friend. But that attachment is severed. And attachment pain is so painful. It's actually a pain that we feel right in the solar plexus, and it's a dull, aching pain. So when we're feeling like lonely, isolated, and we feel like we're not connected to people that we love or in group, we're going to feel this attachment pain. And it's in my humble opinion that this is where addictions come from. And I'm going to be talking about that in the next radio program, about how addictions come from attachment pain. And so I just want to share that the only solution for lessening or stopping your child's emotional attachment pain is for you parents to be able to learn how to listen, tune into your child's emotions, and then be able to mirror and validate where they're at. And so we want to give you information for our website here at www.joystones.org. And please give us your story of how you grew up. We want to know, did you feel attachment pain when you grew up? And give us your questions, give us your comments, and let us know how we can best help you be able to properly bond and attach to your child, even if it's never been done before. Thank you.
Leave your email is the only thing you forgot. So next segment.
Okay.
Yeah. You always want to say leave your email.
Okay. I forgot to I hit clear instead of stop. Shoot, I'm glad you said something. How did it turn out? Awesome, thank you.
Are you continuing, right?
You what's that?
You're doing 2 parts?
No, next time.
Or next
Yeah, next time. How'd you feel I did? Oh, awesome.
Your talk is really good.
Awesome.
But I can see kind of here and there.
Yeah.
Got a little work to do there.
Yeah.
But I think you can pick it up in the next one.
I can hone it in. Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Awesome.
Okay. Here's what we want to do, Kevin. Let me show you.